Hello, my name is Michael Leckie, and I'm the principal and founder of Leckie Studio Architecture Design, and I'm here with Design Milk for DMTV Milkshake. Leckie Studio is an 18-person practice based in Vancouver in Tofino, Canada. The practice was founded in 2015 as a platform to craft singular, creative, and innovative projects, and also as a vehicle for creative entrepreneurship. I've got a series of questions here in this box, and I'm going to pull them at random and do my best to answer them. Here we go. Question 1. How does a young architect avoid a career designing rote spaces they hate and instead design buildings they find creative and inspiring? I actually get this question a lot, mostly from younger architects who are struggling, and they say that they have all these great ideas for projects, but that they can't find clients who will support them in these visions. And really fundamentally, when I look at that statement, I understand that perhaps it might be a little misguided from a process perspective. I think the most important thing in a young design practice, and perhaps in any design practice, is this idea about opportunity. It's the most important currency in many ways. The projects that you take on also beget more of that kind of work. Opportunities lead to more opportunities. So in our methodology, what we really do is we find clients that have like-minded values, and we work with them to really share and create a comprehensive design brief. It documents the functional program, the potential of the site, as well as all their hopes and aspirations for the project and the series of constraints that we're working with. And from this design brief, we create usually a series of architectural design solutions. And it's really through the close alignment of the hopes and aspirations of the client with the design solution that we're able to find ambition in the work. And it's really this synergy that allows us, this inherent synergy that allows us to craft singular projects. Question 2. What's the biggest unforeseen challenge in housing several generations together? Much of the work that we do in the studio in single-family housing actually has to do with multi-generational housing. So how do we imagine a time frame for housing where people in all stages of life can live together, grow old, and share this notion of family and community? And so I would say the biggest unforeseen challenge in this process is really the fact that the future is unknown. And you might say that this is the case in any design exercise, but I think the real opportunity in multi-generational housing is to have these vulnerable conversations and to have the design team facilitate these vulnerable conversations through an extended family. This allows us to plan for scenarios which many people don't like to talk about, many people don't like to plan for until they are sort of problematically or catastrophically faced with them. So this idea about understanding how people would like to age in place, people's relationship to life and death, and front-loading a lot of these considerations as a group, as a family, really allows us to create a much more meaningful architecture that is intended to be adaptable and is intended to be enduring. Question 3. What do you think is a common misconception about how we like to live? I would say the biggest misconception is that architecture and design are luxuries. Really, at the root, architecture and design is a series of questions. It's a process that involves a series of questions and a series of decisions that really represent a series of values, goals, and aspirations. And so if we understand that, or we understand architecture and design through that lens, we realize that design and architecture are inherently essential. And in fact, this word essential is what we use in the studio as part of our core methodology. I would suggest that our ethos or design philosophy is really one of essentialism. And perhaps it's important to kind of understand or define what I mean here by essentialism, because it's used in many different ways throughout the history of philosophy. So in this case, I'm using it in a way that the author, Greg McKeown, uses it. And really, if we talk about the key principles, I would say the first one is the ethos of less but better. And this ties into Dieter Rams' famous phrase. And really, it's about the power of intention and intentionality in all of our work. The second principle would be the disciplined pursuit of less. And really, this is an understanding about the fact that whenever we say yes to something, we are inherently saying no to something else due to the constraints of budget, time, and just inherent limitations in the world that we inhabit. The third principle is the idea and notion of living a life that really matters. And this ties back to this idea about purpose and also finding joy in the process and in the journey. Question number 4. Do we need less space than we think? I would say the answer to this is more often than not, absolutely. The vast majority of our clients come to us with a wish list that far exceeds their budget or their means, or far exceeds the potential of a site. And perhaps on the one hand, this is human nature. Perhaps this is more of an artifact of the society that we live in. We really believe that through the development of this comprehensive design brief and our methodology, that we are often able to encourage clients towards a solution that really embodies this ethos of less but better. And as a result, we are quite commonly building less square footage in a project than the site might allow. And many people might call this underdevelopment. Why are we underdeveloping a site? And that's an unfortunate term that I feel really frames the development of architecture, particularly in the custom single-family house sector, as one of commodification, the idea of resale, the idea of maximizing development. And really what we're trying to do is the exact opposite. We're trying to design thoughtful, intentional space that really embodies this essentialist approach that I was describing earlier. What's the most exciting or most ambitious project on the boards right now? I would have to say that there are 2 projects that I'm particularly excited about at the moment. The first one is the Backcountry Hut Company, and this is a Canadian startup that I'm a co-founder in, and Leckie Studio is a design partner in. And the aim of the Backcountry Hut Company is to produce prefabricated, flat-packed, small-scale structures using a kit of parts approach that provides people with a kind of DIY methodology for building structures in remote places. And the idea here really is to empower individuals and communities towards successful architectural projects. The second project that I'm really excited about is Arcana. And Leckie Studio is a design partner in Arcana, which is a hospitality or micro-hospitality in nature enterprise. And really it's a movement towards human wellness in connection to nature. So we've designed a series of small cabins that allow guests to engage in science-backed wellness rituals and routines in a natural setting. And the idea is really to sort of shift perspective and pull people out of the kind of hurried pace of a modern life, ground them through a series of rituals, and in doing so, really create a kind of wellness routine or regimen that will hopefully stick with them well beyond their time staying on these sites. And also in this shifting of perspective, we're trying to create an awareness of the relationship between humankind and nature, that humankind does not exist outside of or above nature, that we're inherently a part of it. And by leaning into this awareness, Arcana is also inherently a sustainability movement, that we're creating this awareness of how important sustainability and issues like climate change are in the future of the planet and in the future of the human civilization. I think that's about all the time we have right now for questions. I'd like to thank you for the questions. And I'd just like to offer in closing that as architects and designers, it's really important to understand that all design work is a form of speculation. We are imagining a series of future scenarios and future possibilities, and we're really harnessing the efforts and means and resources of a huge team of people to realize this vision. So I would suggest that it's important to be hopeful, optimistic, inclusive, and the way we visualize and speculate about the future. And I want to thank everybody for watching this.